Good evening, Mary News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this evening, 5 firearms and ammo seized in St. James. 5 firearms and several rounds of ammunition were seized by the police during an operation in Hendon, Norwood, St. James on Sunday. Reports from the Montego Bay Police are that between 2:10 a.m. and 3:50 a.m., a police team acting on information conducted an operation in a vegetated area of the community. A search of the space led to the discovery of a Glock pistol, a Beretta APX pistol with an affixed magazine containing 11 9mm cartridges, and a 9mm pistol with a magazine containing 4 9mm cartridges, an Intratec submachine gun with an empty magazine, and a transparent plastic bottle containing 6 9mm rounds were also reportedly seized. No one was arrested in relation to this seizure. Ex-Sagicor employees accused of creating ghost accounts to embezzle $65 million. A former Sagicor Bank branch manager and 2 of her former colleagues are accused of orchestrating a sophisticated internal fraud scheme that allegedly siphoned approximately $65 million from the financial institution through the creation of 7 ghost accounts. The bank manager's sister, Elisa Moulton White, former vice president at Sagicor Life, is also alleged to have personally benefited from the illicit proceeds to the amount of $661,000. The prosecution outlined in its case yesterday during opening statements at the start of the Sagicor fraud trial in the Kingston and the St. Andrew Parish Court, where Parish Judge Maxine Ellis is presiding. Moulton White, her sister Tricia Moulton, then a branch manager of the Ligoni and the Manor Park branches, Malika McLeod, a personal banking officer, and Tishon Samuels, a client care officer, are all charged on a 22-count indictment. They face charges under the Larceny Act for obtaining money by false pretenses and credit by fraud under the Proceeds of Crime Act for engaging in and acquiring criminal property, and under common law for conspiracy to defraud. Prosecutors Terrence Williams and Anne-Marie Furtado Richards, appearing on a fiat from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, alleged that Moulton, McLeod, and Samuels used their positions at the Sagicor Bank to open 7 fraudulent or ghost accounts between August and October 2022. 6 of the accounts were created in the names of unsuspecting legitimate customers and 1 in the name of a non-customer. Investigators found no valid documentation for these accounts, and none of the named individuals were aware that their information had been used. The accounts were reportedly funded with uninsured short-term loans using temporary accommodation requests, a 30-day credit facility, and through internal transfers among the accounts. Millions of dollars were allegedly withdrawn, transferred, or used to pay third parties, including a gas company where Tricia Moulton served as a company secretary. The funds were also allegedly diverted from 6 genuine accounts belonging to a customer and her deceased husband. Although Moulton White was not directly involved in the creation of the ghost accounts, prosecutors claimed she benefited from a questionable foreign exchange transaction involving the real customer's account. On August 31, 2022, the customer requested the conversion of US $16,000, which should have resulted in a payment of Jamaican $2.35 million. However, she received only $1.23 million Jamaican dollars, resulting in a $1.122 million Jamaican dollars shortfall. That shortfall was allegedly split among Moulton, McLeod, and Moulton White, with Jamaican $111,000 reportedly deposited into Moulton White's personal and team accounts. Prosecutors claim the trio deliberately concealed the transaction from senior bank officers, pointing to an organized internal conspiracy. Further allegations detail how on September 30, 2022, Samuels allegedly caused Jamaican $2.5 million to be withdrawn from the customer's local savings account under false pretenses, claiming it was authorized and intended for loan fees. On August 12, Samuels and Moulton allegedly withdrew Jamaican $900,000 from one ghost account. On August 31, another Jamaican $1.2 million was taken from a second ghost account, followed by Jamaican $850,000 from a third on September 6. Then on October 7, Moulton, McLeod, and Samuels allegedly withdrew Jamaican $1 million each from two separate ghost accounts by falsely pretending the transactions had been approved. The indictment also alleges that US $170,000 from the customer's real USD account was transferred to a ghost account in her name, along with another US $30,000 to a different ghost account. In addition, both the Moulton sisters are accused of violating the bank's code of ethics and a conflict of interest policy through an improper lending arrangement. In one instance, Tricia Moulton allegedly authorized a US $105 withdrawal from her sister's overdrawn account to pay off another relative's credit card debt. The transaction reportedly bypassed internal controls and caused additional financial loss to the bank. McLeod is represented by attorney Peter Champagny KC. Moulton is represented by Kemar Robinson, while Tishon Samuels is being represented by Rita Allen Brown. Moulton White is being represented by Deborah Martin. Noel Maitland contracted me to pick up sofa from car wash and drop it off at upholstery shop, second delivery man testifies. A second delivery man who was contracted by policeman Noel Maitland, who is on trial for the murder of his girlfriend, Donna Lee Donaldson, this morning testified that he picked up a settee from a car wash and dropped it off at an upholstery shop in downtown Kingston. Another delivery man had previously testified that he was hired to move the settee from Maitland's apartment in New Kingston to a car wash on Halfway Tree Road. He had also testified that he was at his workplace at a hardware in Kingston when he was told by his co-worker named Carlos that Maitland wanted to speak with him. Carlos, who the witness said is now deceased, had followed him to pick up the sofa while Maitland drove ahead. However, this morning, the second delivery man said he and Carlos were on a job when Carlos got a phone call and told him about the work. He said they returned to their workplace at the hardware where a silver car drove up. He said Carlos went to speak with someone in the car, and after that, both he and Carlos followed behind the car to a car wash off Lyndhurst Road in St. Andrew. The witness said he drove his pickup truck while Carlos rode a bike. According to the witness, when he arrived at the car wash, he stayed inside his vehicle while the sofa was placed in his truck. He described the settee as being brown and that it was either 2 or 3 pieces. Both he and Carlos followed the car to the upholstery shop near the Denhamtown police station where the settee was taken off. However, he said while waiting to be paid, the settee was placed back into his truck and that he and Carlos followed the silver car up to Kingston Public Hospital where they dropped off the settee at a nearby upholstery shop. He said workmen took off the settee before leaving. He said he collected $5,000 from Carlos as a payment and that he gave him $1,000. The witness said that days later he was at work when the police showed up and ordered him to follow them to Halfway Tree Police Station, where he gave a statement and showed the police where he had picked up the settee and dropped it off. He said he had watched as his vehicle was swabbed and photographed. Maitland is on trial in the Home Circuit Court for murder and preventing the legal burial of a corpse in connection with the July 13, 2022 disappearance of Donaldson. Donaldson, 24, a social media personality, swimwear entrepreneur, and a customer service representative, was reported missing on July 13, 2022. Her mother, Sophia Logg, had previously testified that Maitland picked up her daughter on July 11 and that she last spoke to her on the morning of July 12. Attempts to reach her afterwards were unsuccessful. Thank you everyone for watching. See you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for another news update.